Hi everyone, my name is Diane Kalu. Today on this show, we'll be talking about a subject or topic I love so much, grief. I know it's not one that people love to listen to, but stay tuned. I'll tell you my story and you'll know why I'm very interested in grief.
Hello viewers and welcome to today's show. With me on set, we are taking a twist. We are having a therapist who has come to talk to us about grief. Her name is Diane Kalu. She's the founder of We Care Foundation, a foundation that focuses on young widows. She's also a therapist and also a humanitarian and a philanthropist. So Diane, welcome once again to the show.
Thank you very much.
How have you been?
I'm well.
You look
very
beautiful,
well.
like I
Thank
said. So we'll be talking about grief. It's a topic that most people don't want to hear. So tell us, what is grief?
Grief is the loss of something you love.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a human being. It could also be loss of your job or relationship. So it's generally losing something that you love.
Losing something you love.
Yes, something that is dear to you, something you have a connection with.
You said the job. I thought maybe grief was maybe losing someone.
No, not necessarily. So you could be someone who loves your job, and when you lose that job, it's taken away from you. That period of sadness, of overwhelming sadness, that's grief. That's you grieving that job. Yeah.
Wow, awesome. Okay, so that brings me to the next question. What are some common emotional and challenges individuals face when coping with grief?
Okay, so a theory propounded by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross categorizes grief in 5 stages. You have your denial, when you're like, oh my God. I'm sure if you're listening to me, I'm pretty sure if you've lost someone or something, you'd identify this denial. I can't believe it's not true. It's not true. When you're saying, it's impossible for me to have lost this thing, you're living in denial of the reality of your present circumstance. You have, then from there you move to anger. When you're angry at everything, even inanimate objects, you can get upset at them.
Really?
You have your bargaining. You're bargaining. What if I had done this? Maybe they would have lived. If I had just arrived just maybe 10 seconds earlier, you start to bargain with yourself. Trying to that all these things are ways your psyche, your person is trying to make sense of what is going on. And then you have your depression. You go through deep sorrow where you may isolate, where you don't want to interact with people. And then of course acceptance, when you begin to accept that, okay, this is the reality, this thing is actually real. And these stages don't go from, it's not a 1, 2, 3, 4. You could be in depression, and then you find yourself going back to denial. So it doesn't just go from A to E, just like that. So these are some of the common emotions. You see people say, oh, I can't seem to remember a lot of things. That's also one part of expression, because it also affects your brain. Your brain shuts down. The part of your brain that receives all the information, all the emotions. When you go through that trauma, it's completely shut down. So it's unable to receive messages, like a circuit board in the house. That's the example I usually use. When there's a high voltage, what happens? It shuts down. So that's what happens to the brain when you go through this trauma, and it tries to get back to its functioning capacity.
You mentioned anger, which I'm interested in. How do you mean? You start taking it out on other people?
Exactly. So, if you know someone who is grieving, right, you can see that they start to maybe yell at people, express it's them trying to make sense of what exactly is going on. They yell at people. You see someone, they say, what is going wrong with her? I thought she's supposed to be crying or something. But she's expressing that grief in yelling at you. She will yell, she might even break things, or he might even break things. That's that anger we're talking about.
Okay.
That is in that place where people will now decide, oh, I don't want to talk to this person because they were not, too many emotions running around. So if you have someone who is grieving and you're watching them stage by stage and you're seeing these signs, show them a little empathy. It's just for a while.
Okay. And I also heard that grieving depends on the individual, that people grieve differently.
Yes, grief is not a linear.
Okay.
Everybody grieves differently, and there are so many things that contribute to how you grieve. First of all, environment.
Okay.
Second of all, your personality. So someone who is a sanguine, who is very quick, short-tempered, boisterous, will grieve differently from someone who is a melancholy. For example, I know a lady who just lost her dad, and she's everywhere. She's bubbly. You understand? And when people look at her, they are like, okay, this lady, but she's a sanguine. She's a sanguine choleric, and those are two very strong personalities. So they help her to cope. She's just doing that to be able to be in control of things, and when she gets back into her her room, she breaks down and she wails. You understand? But the fact that she can recognize that, oh, this is because this is how I grieve. Some people, the flags are laid back, so they may not really be into the grief, and you're looking at them like you're not even crying. But that's just because personalities have contributed, and also cause of death contributes. If an individual has closure before the death, before witnessing it, the bereavement, the way they would approach it will be slightly different. Yes.
Okay, interesting. We're going to take a short break right now, and when we return, we're going to be talking about widows, which is what you do.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Welcome back. With me, we still have our precious, beautiful lady, Diane. And Diane, before we went on break, we're going to talk about widows, especially you have a foundation for young widows. Why young widows, and how should a widow grieve the loss of her spouse?
Okay, so we're getting to the part I have to share the story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, why young widows? Because it's first-hand experience. 8 years ago, my husband passed away, and I had 3 young children. They were 4, 22 months, and 8 weeks when he passed.
8 weeks.
Yes, I had just put to bed. And it was a journey, or it's been a journey. And like, when I was, okay, this June is the 8th year. And when I was writing, because I also write, and when I was writing my article, something I said is, I'm no longer broken. I've been taken away from that place because I have journeyed, I've made the journey. So one of the first things I'm going to say to widows, who knows, somebody listening to me is not yet a widow, but maybe a widow in future, is the first point of call is God. I don't want to sound cliche, but that is what it is. You find God, you find comfort. A white friend. I'm also a widow advocate internationally. So one of the times we were having a meeting, one of the white ladies said was that those who do not have God in grief find it much more difficult to cope. But when you have God in grief, there are so many reasons to be comforted. One of the verses that comforted me so much is, for I know the thought I think towards you, thoughts of good, not of evil. At that time, even though I kept hearing that verse come to my mind, it didn't make any sense to me. Why would you say you have good thoughts for me and this is happening to me? But as I journeyed, he said, walk with me and I will show you. And truly, he has shown me that if I'm working with him, it would be a fantastic journey. As a matter of fact, I keep telling people that these 8 years have been the best 8 years of my life, because I have grown in leaps and bounds. I have done things that no one would have believed I was capable of doing. I have, taken risks that even sometimes I'm surprised at the things that I've been able to achieve. So I would just say to you, first of all, go where love is. Find love, talk less, because it's in that your season, there'll be a lot of voices, people speaking in your ear, telling you, no, don't do this, no, do this, oh, go here, don't go here. Silence, be still, and then start moving with God. Seek wisdom, find a tribe, find someone who can mentor you. Look for a widow mentor. It's very, very important that you look for someone who can mentor. It's a long, murky road. It is really long, and without proper guidance, because this is you coming out of. So I often say to people that being married, and then all of a sudden you find yourself not being married anymore. It's like you being in the desert. It's like you coming out of a landfill of milk, filled with milk and honey, and just suddenly being thrown into a desert. So you must find someone who has the map, because God has given the map to people. So if you find someone who has the map, it makes your journey easier. And that's why it says we have been comforted so that we can comfort others. When you find someone who has been comforted, they can help you. You won't make the mistakes they made. You wouldn't, you will get free counsel. Easy work. Oh, don't go this way, go this way. Oh, don't do this. Wisdom. Wisdom comes from pain. Without pain, there's no wisdom. You have to go through an experience. I say experience is king. You have to go through an experience to actually get the wisdom out of it. And that's one of the things pain does for you. Pain teaches you empathy. It teaches you to appreciate friendship and relationship. It makes you so in tune with life. All the rose-tinted glasses just fall off your eyes. And so for a widow out there, God does not call you widow. That's the first thing. You are a woman and you're a gatekeeper. Think of it this way, that you, as a person, a woman, you were born as a gatekeeper. Well, who is a gatekeeper? Someone who stands in the gap. Your womb carries children. Without you, children can't come into this world. That's your power. You don't even know how powerful you are. That's why you are, you feel, oh, I've been, as far as I'm concerned, I am beloved. I am the precious one God loves because of how powerful, of how much I feel God has given to women, to birth, to nurture, to bring to life. There's a scripture that says that women brought their dead back to life. Think about it. Think about it as even as a widow. Let's even flip it a little bit. It was a widow who prayed Jesus into the earth. Why? Of all the women, why a widow? Why was it a widow from whose lineage Jesus came? Ruth. I'm just trying to show you how powerful you are. There's so much beauty in this your journey. Rather than see it as a scar, see it as a beauty mark. It's just a badge. And you are not what happened to you. You're not the circumstance. When you see people go through protracted illnesses like cancer, you don't see them wear it on their faces. They don't call themselves, oh, I'm a cancer patient. They don't say that. So when I hear women say, oh, when you ask them, what's your name? When they want to introduce themselves, they first say, I'm a widow. No, you're not a widow. What is your name? What do you do? What do you stand for? What are your values? What do you represent? Before, at the tail end, if you wish to disclose, then you disclose. Because you're just powerful. You're not what has happened to you, my darling.
Wow, interesting. Wow. There's another question I would like to ask.
Okay.
Recently I did an interview with a young widow, and she told the story of her friend who was also widowed at a young age, but she still does not tell people that she's a widow. She keeps telling them that her husband is away. So is that the part of denial, or is it the society that is making her go through that?
Okay, so the thing is, it's the society and how they assume widowhood should be. So they expect that when your spouse dies, you are meant to either hide away. In fact, you die with him. You're no longer existent. You see, I'm a believer of marriage, love, and family life, because I often say that family is the first unit God created. It was from family. It's the first institution. It was from family that all other institutions were able to come out. Now, a woman is placed on a pedestal when she's married. When she has a husband, everybody sees her as, oh, Mrs. Madam, When she's no longer married, people see her as, they're not sure whether, we don't know where to place you, whether you're single or, even if you check how people treat mature single women, you can see they treat them, with some disdain. You understand? So this is something that these women run away from. And Nollywood has not helped matters. Nollywood and the way they paint. Yes, they paint a reality for people to see. However, there ought to be a balance. So you see, people don't want to be identified by the negativities of widowhood. That's why they shy away from it. Oh, no, I'm lying. But for how long are you going to deny that? How long are you going to, to run away from your reality? Do you understand? How long are you going to say, no, this is not true, this is, you understand? And then when people know you're widow, they start looking at you different. Oh, sometimes people don't want that pity party. They don't want you looking at them with with pity.
Pity.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I know it's just human nature to try to empathize with them,
Empathize.
but then it's uncomfortable.
Wow. Well, we still have Diane here. When we return, we'll be talking about widowhood and relationship, finding love again.